Hey all, and welcome to Shadow Space, and we are commenting on another BCP video. I do apologize that some of these have been kind of light. This is called Triggered Black Liberals Crack Whip on Stephen A. Smith Demanding All Black People Vote Republican. This is uploaded May 6th. This is being recorded May 7th, and link is in the description.
For one election that every black person would vote Republican. Since 1964, the black folks, we have been giving our vote to the Democratic Party at an exorbitant rate. Therefore, they know they got our vote, and they don't have to cater to us as much as we need them to. The Republicans know they'll never get our vote, so they don't give a damn about us. And as a result, we're the only community in America devoid of representation, which is why we're considered disenfranchised.
I wish your hairline would come back. I wish you would stop speaking against black women. I wish you would stop tap dancing for the Republican Party, because that is the dumbest shit
Why is he now only talking about black women?
I've ever heard. Because as soon as the Civil Rights Act was implemented and black people started getting more power, white people shifted to the Republican Party. And the reason they shifted because the Republicans promised that they would keep white people in power and on top. So what the fuck do you think is going to happen if
So really, it's what's happening right now. Successfully welcomed the white Southerners who were departing the Democrat Party, through a deliberate Southern strategy. By adopting states' rights and law and order rhetoric, Republicans appealed to white Southerners' opposition to desegregation, leading to a major political realignment that solidified Republican dominance in the South. (1964).
we started voting for a Republican? They would still not give a fuck about
Oops.
you think is going to happen if we started voting for a Republican.
Racially conservative attitudes led white Southerners to leave Democratic Party. Racial attitudes were the primary reason white Southerners abandoned the Democrat Party after party leaders began to advocate for civil rights legislation during the last half of the 20th century, a new study finds. October 25th, 2018. Why is that not surprising?
They would still not give a fuck about us. They would just have our vote. The Republican Party
I can't read that.
is nothing but a bunch of good old Confederates. They don't give a shit about black folks. That's why they trying to disenfranchise us now. And here come your old tap dancing ass talking about we need to vote for them. Honestly, I think your hairline is running away from your fuck.
So the North, the people who literally were the ones who were against slavery, welcomed white Southerners who didn't want to desegregate? And completely changed its direction to being racist and being intolerant of black people, even though they were the ones that wanted to free the black people.
Fucking mouth, because all you spitting is bullshit.
That's...
So, you gotta talk about
You
black
know?
liberals once again.
You know?
You are
She's not wrong.
upset. You're mad at Stephen A. Smith because Stephen A. Smith suggested that black people just one time, actually vote like the rest of the country.
No, because, like I said the one time, you know, if there's a portion of the ticket and there are only Democrats and there are no Republicans, then who do you vote for? So, like, yeah, I've voted Democrat, not necessarily because I wanted to, but because there were no other options. You pick the lesser of the evils? Like,
Which is to not vote Democrat at a 90+% clip, right? To get more towards 50-50. And, you know, hey, maybe, just maybe, black people will see better results when it comes to this whole politics thing, right? Voting Democrat at a 90+% clip. I personally don't think has been beneficial for black folks. Black people have been voting like that since basically the civil rights era, and they still complaining, right? I'm just saying, right? Apparently, they don't think it's worked out well for them either because they still bitching. So I'm just saying, as long as they're bitching, I'm just gonna assume that this ain't working, right? That
Well, see, just I don't know.
something needs to change, right? When it comes to voting. And of course, black liberals are triggered by this, right? They're coming out the woodwork and they're now attacking Stephen A. As per the usual because he suggested something that does not align with the Democrat Party agenda. And I want to react to it. I want to talk about it. But first, I want to go ahead and play a clip of Stephen A. and his suggestion that for one election, black people need to vote Republican. Take a look.
I wish for one election that every black person would vote Republican. What? How can he say that?
How can you say that?
Since 1964, the black people, black
Seem too
folks,
taken
we
aback.
have been giving our vote to the Democratic Party at an exorbitant rate. Therefore, they know they got our vote.
Oh, since 1964? You mean since this whatever this is? Here, go back, look for it. This Civil Rights Act, 1964. She was talking about. Since then, huh?
They don't have to cater to us as much as we need them to. The Republicans know they'll never get our vote. So
Well,
they don't.
see, because it isn't that. Again, it's like you've talked about on your channel is and I've said this, I think, you know, you can't, if you solve homelessness, then you can't continue to spend money to fight homelessness. And because people don't want things shut down and taken away, you have to keep these services open. You have to keep these things running. You can't not spend the money because it's like you're invested in it already. So kind of lost my train of thought.
Don't give a damn about us. And as a result,
Getting things. Nope, I lost it. Sorry.
we're the only community in America devoid of representation, which is why we're considered disenfranchised. I'm tired of that.
I don't know what that means. We're the only voice that's disenfranchised. So are trans people. That's not true. So are women. That's not true. What are you talking about? For pity's sake.
What I want is to put ourselves as a community in a position where both parties have to work to get our vote.
Can I ask you this? Do you think
They should already have to. But they shouldn't have to work. This is the thing, is they should already have a plan for what they're gonna do when they get in there, so that the moment they do get in there, they can just hit the ground running. Granted, a lot of it is clipped, but you listen to the clips and there's no plan. There's a lot of things that sound good. There's a vision for what the end goal is going to look like, but the steps to actually get there don't exist. There's no plan. There's no forward thinking. There's no roadmap for how we get from where we are to where we want to go. They just
you
say
cover
we should go this
politics like
way.
you cover politics? In the words of your mans, is that good for business, your business?
It has the potential not to be. We'll have to see. So far it is. I think I'm doing pretty good. So far it is. But it has the potential not to be. But here's the point.
Hold on.
Cam, I'm tired of that. What I want is to put ourselves as a community in a position where both parties have to work to get our vote.
Can I ask you?
Didn't go back far
Therefore, they
enough.
know they got our vote, and they don't have to cater to us as much as we need them to. The Republicans know they'll never get our vote, so they don't give a damn about us. And as a result, we're the only community in America devoid of representation, which is why we're considered disenfranchised. I'm tired of that. What I want is to put ourselves as a community in a position where both parties have to work to get our vote.
Can I ask you this? Do you think you covering politics like you cover politics, in the words of your mans, is that good for business, your business?
It has the potential not to be. We'll have to.
Well, he has to come out and apologize a lot. I don't think it works as well as he would like to admit that it does.
Pretty good. So far it is, but it has the potential not to be. But here's the point. Cam, if I thought like that, I'd never be here. There's plenty of decisions over the years I could have made that would have been good for business. But I had the courage to tackle the issues that I felt passionate enough to attack. That's what makes me me.
And that's why every time you say something like this, you get called out about it, and then you go on your show and you say, I shouldn't have said it, I'm sorry. It was really dumb.
Just want to be clear. I don't have an issue.
This is a pattern, Stephen A.
But I do have an issue with the messenger, and I'm gonna explain to you guys why I have an issue with the messenger. But first, we have to react to black liberals who are triggered by what Stephen A. said, because again, this is a threat to the Democrats. So therefore, Stephen A. telling black people to vote Republican, it has to be addressed by the slave catchers, right? And they've come out and they're cracking a whip on Stephen A. like they always do. Wah, wah, wah. Get back here, right? You're not supposed to tell Negroes to vote Republican. What are you doing? Right? This is what they're doing. And first up, we got Jamel Hill.
Yeah, I guess.
We got to talk about her. And before we get into her reaction, I just got to say, what the hell is this, right? Like, what is this abomination on Jamel Hill's head, right? I need a pro-blackity black soul sister number one to explain this to me like I'm 5. Why in the world is a soul sister pro-blackity black wearing a blonde wig? I, for the life of me, do not understand why is it that these black liberal women, why do they want to be white women so bad? Right?
Well, because it's like, I don't want to sound weird, but it's the idea of like body modification. Your hair is just an accessory. You can swap it out for different colors, for different styles. It doesn't even have to be yours. It's style. It's vanity. It's wanting to be something else. It's feeling. It's what I imagine feminine empowerment feels like, which is that feeling of being in control of who you are and how you express yourself.
I don't get it.
I can just put on a wig and I can be someone else. I can sort of put on a different sort of personality or like mood depending on how I feel. It's like having like a handbag that matches like an outfit or some sort of accessory. It's not really a part of you. It's something you put on.
I understand it. I really don't. I like these people for, they're so woke, right?
Yeah.
They're so against
I
white
mean,
supremacy,
yeah.
white supremacy that, but to me, they're already colonized.
Well, it's overcomplication of something that really doesn't need to be this complicated.
Jamel Hill looks colonized. Like, I mean, seriously. This blonde wig, I mean, like, really, I don't get it. I really don't. Why do you want to be like the people that you claim are oppressing you? Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, these people, these black little women in particular, they run around with blonde wigs. They marrying the white man. They love the great white pipe. But yet they keep running around talking about racism, hate, and bigotry. And again, I'm trying to figure out, okay, if you feel that way, right? If you don't like cultural appropriation, why are you trying to be a white woman? Why are you trying to transform yourself into a white woman? I really don't get it. If I was Jamel Hill's husband, I would be pissed. I would be super pissed. And the reason why is not because I have anything against blondes, right? But if I want a white woman, I'm gonna go get the real thing, right? I'm gonna go get the real deal. I'm not gonna get a black woman.
Well, see, but again, she's not doing this for him. She's doing this for her.
Wants to be white, right? I'm not gonna do that. That defeats the purpose. I personally don't see the appeal of a black woman with white features. I just don't see the appeal. I really don't. And vice versa. All right. I don't see the appeal of a white woman with black features, right? I don't see the appeal in that either. That's what Latinos are for, right?
Well, it's one where just why not be proud of your body and who you are? Why do you have to put on some other accessory to try to be something else?
To get the best of both worlds, right? To get the best of everything. That's what Latinos are for. But if I'm going to get a soul sister, right? If I'm going to get a black woman, I want a real black woman, right? I want a black woman who knows who she is, that's going to rock her natural hair, because that's the whole point, right? That's the whole point. If I get with a black woman, I want a real black one, right? This right here is crazy to me.
Well, see, because it's someone who isn't comfortable with themselves, so they have to invent their identity.
If I was her husband, I'd snatch that wig off. Hell no. Hell no. Because I didn't marry this. I didn't marry a white woman, right? But clearly that's what Jamel Hill wants to be. I'm just saying, I like all women, right? Including white women, black women, everything in between, right? I'm just telling you that if I want to get a white woman, I'm going to go get the real thing. If I want a black woman, I'm going to get the real thing. If I want a mix, if I want the best of both worlds, or if I want something exotic, right, I'm going to go Latina, I'm going to go Asian, I'm going to go Arab, I'm just saying, right? But this right here, this is crazy to me. It really is. So anyways, that's enough of my rant against Jamel Hill's ridiculous wig. That again, is cultural appropriation, by the way. Let's go ahead and get into her boohoo on and cry about Stephen A.
Stephen A. Smith says that his desire is for both parties to have...
Did a white hairstylist do this, right? I'm sorry. This wig is killing me, bro. She looks like a white woman. She wants to be a white woman so bad. It's killing me. Now I'm wondering, did a white hairstylist do this, right? Did a black woman do this? Who did this?
Where'd the hair come from?
I made a video the other day about a black woman whose mom was blown after going to a white hairstylist for the first time, right? Because she got some good service. It wasn't overcharged. I'm sitting thinking to my mom, like, Jamel Hill must have had the same experience. She must have went to a white woman and got blown away. Ever since then, she's been rocking the blonde wig.
Have to compete for black people's votes. I actually agree with this. This would be great if both parties, if both the Republicans and the Democrats had to compete for the right to the black vote. There's only one problem with that. It's not that black people don't make themselves available to be Republicans or available in terms of being open to Republicans and conservatives, because a little bit of history will tell Stephen A. that black people used to vote Republican. And the reason black people used to vote Republican, because Republicans, because of the Emancipation Proclamation, because of Abraham Lincoln,
the Civil War,
who was a Republican, and you all know
because of
Republicans
of the the enormous violent conflict that this country had to end slavery.
To remind Black people about
Or,
who, quote unquote, freed the slaves.
Yeah.
Yes, it was Abraham Lincoln through the Emancipation Proclamation.
So, are you saying that we should, like, get rid of the Lincoln Memorial because he was a racist or something?
Frederick Douglass, also a Republican.
I never
The
understand.
reason Black people
I never get it.
aligned themselves with the Republicans was because the Republicans were what the Democrats are today. The Republicans were the ones who...
No, the Democrats were all of the slave-owning Southerners who wanted to keep their slaves, who didn't want you to have the right to vote or the right to own property.
In Black people's mind was getting them closer to liberation, closer to civil rights. So you see how that works?
You know what's so hilarious about this, right? They keep making this crazy argument that Democrats today are what Republicans used to be, right? And that Democrats aren't who they used to be, but yet these are the same people who basically support slavery, right? Illegal immigration, right? If you actually examine it.
Well, if Lincoln was a Republican, then the Republicans were the North. And if they were the North, then they were the ones that were fighting to get rid of slavery. Which means that Democrats were the Southerners, and they were the ones who wanted to keep the slaves. And yet, for some reason, she seems to be making some sort of plea that no, the Republicans have always been racist, even Lincoln was a racist, and the whole thing was just a sham to try to appeal to Black people. For Republicans to try to appeal to Black people.
Democrat argument for illegal immigration, right, at its core is slavery, right? I mean, they've said this out loud. Jasmine Crockett, other Democrats, they've said explicitly, yeah, who's going to wipe our asses, right?
Yeah.
Who's going to pick the cotton, right? I mean, this is
what
they explicitly...
It's too triggering to them. They won't do it.
Said
I don't know.
About illegals. The Republican voter, we don't like slavery so much that we want to open our borders for it, right? The Democrats would love for our country to be overrun with illegals for free labor, right? For cheap labor, aka slavery. Republicans aren't the ones that are running around talking about how we have to have segregated congressional maps, right, and districts, right? Republicans aren't the one that's advocating for that. So Democrats are trying to convince us that somehow, some way, they're the Republican Party of old, right? We actually freed the slaves, right?
Yeah,
but
the Southerners are the ones. Well, see, I mean, technically, the Southerners were the ones that owned the slaves, so technically they are the ones that had to free them. Like
also,
the people in the North that didn't own slaves, they didn't have anyone to free. They didn't have slaves.
Pro-racism, but against whites now, right? Because that aligns with a Marxist agenda. So again, I'm trying to figure out exactly what's really changed. I think the marketing has changed, but I think the underlying core ideology is the same. These people are still the party of the KKK. They're still the party of racists. Right? They're still the party upset that they can't have slavery, right? But yet, you know, there's a little bit of Marxism thrown in, right? You just throw some Marxism on top of it. And that's really the only difference between the modern day Democrat Party and the Democrat Party of old. That's it. Marxism, that's the only difference. But everything else that they believe in is the same, right? It's all the same.
Well,
Republicans provided
because Marxism is ultimately an appeal to the slave. It's the slave rising up against their slave master. It's Animal Farm. It's the idea that the animals rise up and form their own community.
Legislation that would help Black people and Black people...
The chattel, the pets, the things that otherwise wouldn't have their own voice or say in what was going on.
voted for them or black people supported them, since, it took a while for the whole, the right to vote thing. But nevertheless, y'all get my drift. So when Republicans were on the side of black people aligned with that side. And then when Democrats were on the side of black people then aligned themselves with that side. So this idea
I got
that
lost
black
somewhere
people
in there.
are stupid voters, I reject. This idea that black people we just support the Democratic Party because, frankly, we don't know any better. That's sort of the idea that Stephen A. Smith is pushing here.
No. That comes from the.
It isn't that you don't know any better. It's that you're too afraid to not vote Republican. You are so convinced that you have to vote Democrat that you don't think you can mark that name with an R next to it on the ballot. No, you can.
Democrats, right? The
It's
Democrats
a
are
choice.
the ones that are perpetuating that idea that black people are stupid, right? Because Democrats are the ones that are basically claiming that black people are too dumb to do anything for ourselves, right? Period. We can't even get an ID, okay? Because we're so dumb, right? We can't use computers. We don't know how to go get vaccine. These are all ideas perpetuated by the Democrat Party.
Don't know
I
how to
think
get your
Stephen A. is saying
IDs.
that black people are dumb. He's just saying that black people voting for Democrats at such a high rate prevents black people from actually getting courted by Republicans, right? And I'm going to address that whole idea, but that's what he's getting at, right? He's saying, well, Republicans don't really try to appeal to black people because it's a lost cause, right? Because Democrats
See, no. It's for the exact same reason that one black person said, is that policies that benefit black people will benefit everyone. So instead of marketing it as a solution for black people, they market it as a solution for people, for everyone, for the people that they represent.
have a chokehold on the black vote, and black people, for whatever reason, just refuse to support Republicans, right? They just go support Democrats. And again, I'm gonna get a little bit deeper into this stuff, but he's not really saying black people are dumb. He's just saying that Republicans don't feel like it is worth investing in quote unquote black outreach because black people are so attached.
No, it's do you remember there was an ad that Kamala Harris ran a few days before the election, I think, and it was about women secretly voting Democrat, secretly voting against what their husband was voting in the election. Be like, hey, if you voted Democrat and your husband didn't know, we wouldn't tell him. This is that. Just
in line with the Democrat Party at this point. So it's essentially
just
a waste
it's Stephen A. saying it about black people to do to the Republicans.
Political capital, which in a lot of cases,
just vote Republican and just don't tell anyone. No one's going to come to get you. Nothing's going to happen. Lightning isn't going to strike you dead. You aren't going to be cursed for 7 generations. Like it'll be fine.
I reject the premise. Black people aren't aligned with Democrats because we think they're so much better, or because we believe that Democrats don't mess up too, or that Democrats are without racism. We know the Democratic Party has racists. We know.
But you don't call them out. You only call out your side.
We call it out all the time.
Do you?
But the point is, we strategically align ourselves where we see the pathway. That's what makes black voters different. And so I have a huge...
That's what makes black voters...
is they strategically align themselves where they see the pathway.
Not as sophisticated as other voters. That's the real truth. Because again, no other demographic votes like that, right? Hispanics don't vote like that. Asians don't vote like that. Whites don't.
I'm going to be honest. I don't even know what that means.
Vote like that, right? it's funny how that works. Like, she's saying this as if, black people voting 90% for a political party is like normal, right? That's a normal thing. Like, that's healthy. That's not healthy, right? It's not a good thing for one demographic, a racial demographic.
Well, it would be one thing if they were doing it because they actually believed that the Democrats were the better candidates. It's another thing to do it just because you think that you're supposed to do it.
To vote for one political party. But the reason why black people
This is Stephen A's message, is to have the courage to vote outside of your comfort zone, outside of your boundaries, outside of the things that he is convinced that black people think that they can't do.
In support of Democrats, as much as they are, is because ultimately Democrats are the ones promising them all types of free stuff and handouts. And Democrats have been responsible for the expansion of the welfare state that has disproportionately benefited, or in some cases, I would argue, actually harmed the black community. But obviously, the people who are receiving the welfare, they don't see it that way, right? Even though it creates broken families.
Because, like, foundational black Americans don't see the money that, like, immigrants see. They don't see those resources. Even though they're black, they aren't getting the same treatment as other black people. They're getting pushed by the wayside. They're getting left behind.
Broken homes, it contributes to crime being out of control. And then you have these soft on crime policies from the Democrats as well, too, that makes it even worse. And then Democrats play up on a racial divide as well, too, right, in order to get the black vote. Yeah, all of these things, in my opinion, are very toxic, right? They're very harmful. But they work for Democrats in regards to keeping the black vote. And these people try to pretend as if Republicans just completely abandoned black people right after the civil rights era. It's like, no, well, actually, Republicans were more so in support of the civil rights legislation than Democrats, right? As a caucus, Republicans were in support of civil rights for black folks more so than Democrats. Again, what actually really changed is the fact that Democrats started overtly using racial politics and welfare to court black people, and Republicans refused to do that, right? Republicans refused to use racial politics in order to court the black vote. That's what happened. And because they refused to do that, right, they refused to promise a bunch of handouts and to blame the white man for all the black people's problems, right? Black people have been voting Democrat at 90% clip since, again, the 60s. So, I don't know. I don't think it's that Republicans push black voters away. I just think that Democrats are using, again, racial
was it around 1964, do you think?
Black voters, and it worked. And I think part of the reason why it works is because of the historic treatment of black people in this country, again, prior to civil rights, of course, is what I'm saying. So I kind of get why it works. And these people, they always want to talk about the parties flipped and, yada, yada, yada. But see, here's the difference, right? Here's the difference. You can say what you want about Republicans.
See, I don't understand that, though.
Campaigning on states' rights or law and order, on conservative economic policies, limited government intervention. That is not overt racial politics. Right? Now, the way that the liberal historians will frame it is, see, the Southern strategy, they went after the white Southern Democrats who were upset with civil rights. You can make that argument, but it was not.
Well, like, a well-established Southern business owner, I don't think is going to just pick up shop and leave to the North because slavery is over. So, who were these Southerners who were going north, who were turning Republican, because slavery was ending?
Explicit, right? It's not explicit. Hey, you whites that's upset that the black people got their rights, come join the Republican Party. That's not what happened. It was law and order, limited government, right? Conservative economic policies, lower taxes, And that attracted a certain group of voters, right?
See, again,
Democrats
it's the policies. It has nothing to do with identity representation. It has everything to do with their vision and you being aligned or misaligned, disaligned with that vision.
On the other hand, they use overt racial politics. They explicitly appealed to black voters with the victimhood narrative, with the white man is evil narrative, and welfare, right? And black voters went to the Democrat Party because of that, right? Because of the appeal to racial politics overtly. I'm not talking about coded messages, which is what they accuse Republicans of doing, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking like explicit, overt racial politics. White man is bad, right? And welfare.
Huge and significant problem.
It is also
with
the
people who
60s.
try to
I
play
guess
in the faces of
I'm going before that. It's probably
black
messing me up.
voters, acting like we don't know what we're talking about and acting like we're too stupid to understand the game and strategy of politics.
Well, I mean, you don't know what you're talking about, right? You specifically, you don't. And again, it is Democrats who think that black people are stupid, right?
Not gonna lie, I
Because
don't really know
Democrats
what
are
she's
the ones
talking
that think
about.
that black people can't do anything. So anyways, we got to talk about Roly Poly Oly Martin, right? We're going to listen to him cry a little bit, right? Because we already know what he's about to do to Stephen A.
Jump in his ass. You gotta push back immediately.
That's what he does.
Jump in his ass.
The Republican Party since 1964 has been anti-black and pro-white. Their entire agenda has been to appeal to white voters. Now, this is very simple. What I would tell Stephen A. is black people ain't dumb. Black people have not given.
See, 1984, like, the Civil War was like 18, I want to say, it's like late 1800s? Man, I'd have to look. It's been a while since I've actually had to think about history or the Civil War. I don't get it.
Our vote
This
away.
this
Black
doesn't make
people
sense.
have made the decision that white people have not weighed. Black people, I need all y'all people who love saying, yeah, you a shield for the Democratic Party. Just listen to this here. Black people have always been smart with our vote. Because you know what we said? We said, okay, who
You haven't even had the vote that long, arguably.
is fighting for our best interests? From 1865 through 1960, it was Republicans. Black people said, here my agenda. Who is supporting my agenda? Which one of y'all? And it was Republican.
You know what's so hilarious about this? Again, just reframe this. Reframe it. If you had a white person saying, I'm going to vote for the party that's pro-white, right? That's going to get on board with the pro-white agenda. What would Roland Martin be saying? He'd be boo-hoo-wahing crying, white supremacy, right? But this is fine, right? This is totally okay, right? Let's have racialized politics where black people should vote based off who they think is going to help out black people as a whole, right? Not based off what's good for the individual.
I'm so
'Cause let me tell
confused
you,
right
what's
now.
Good, what these people think is good for black people as a whole is not good for me. It's not good for entrepreneurial types, right? It's not good for people who believe in, conservative values and, hard work and individualism and capitalism and, the stuff that made this country great in the first place. It's not good for me, right? I don't think it's good for the black community as a whole. But this idea that we have to vote based off of racial allegiance is only accepted amongst people like Roland Martin when it comes to blacks. But whites can't do that, though. Whites can't come together as a coalition and say we need to vote for whatever is pro-white.
Well, see, because it's anti-racism. Because it's critical race theory. See, because Roland Martin is a descendant of a harmed minority. That means that because his race has never had institutional power, he can engage in racism, and it technically isn't racist because he's like a second-class citizen, because society is built against him. So he has special rights and privileges. that I, as a white person, do not, because I do not have an ancestry of oppression. Or I don't share his ancestry of oppression. So...
That's bad. That's wrong. But this is totally fine. This is totally okay. In order to justify voting for Democrats at a 90% clip. Amazing.
And then when Democrats
I mean, you've got to love it. He sits here and says that he's disenfranchised, where he's literally on his own show, giving his own opinion.
Black agenda, and Republicans didn't, black people went, we voting Democrat. Y'all, this is the equivalent of being at a dance.
What's the black agenda? Welfare, right? That's the black agenda. That's what. What's the black agenda?
It's reparations and segregation. A place that black people can exist away from white people and develop their own culture. Or something.
Welfare. That's what you're talking about. Handouts.
And you want to dance. And you like, well, who gonna ask me to dance? Well, the Republicans don't even look at you, don't even talk.
Well, who's going to ask me to dance? That's a very passive position to be in. Why not have you ask one of them to dance?
Talk to you and walk right past.
No, Republicans are talking to everybody. See, that's what these people don't understand. Because Republicans aren't using overt racial politics to go after black voters. They say, oh, well, Republicans aren't trying to appeal to blacks. No, Republicans are saying, this is what we believe in. You either get on board with it or you don't, right? Right? This is what we stand for. If you agree with us, then you can join our party. If you don't agree with us, then it is what it is. Democrats, on the other hand, are saying, hey, black people, what do you like? What do you want? What do you believe in? Hispanics, what do you want? What do you believe in? Whites, what? Like, they're separating up people by race, by identity.
Mm-hmm.
You're gay,
yep.
You know, trans, right? And then they tell each group of people what they want to hear, right?
Yeah.
Even in ways that are divisive towards the country.
Even in ways that are divisive amongst the groups that they're already trying to appeal to. They will say something that will appeal to black people, but not to women. And then they have to make it up to women by saying something that's offensive to Asian people, who then have to be recompensed somehow.
It's the difference. Republicans say, this is what we believe. You either agree or you don't. Democrats say, what do you believe? And I'm going to tell you everything you want to hear. That's the difference.
And then when you go to Republicans, they say, get your ass back. I ain't dancing with you.
No, they say, this is what we believe. You can either take it or leave it. That's way different than rejection. That is way different than rejection.
But I want to dance. So Democrats are looking my way. Now, I'm going to go dance with them. See, y'all need to stop saying that black...
See, and that's the problem, is... You assume that they don't want to dance with you. And this is Roland Martin's point, is that if you gave them a chance, maybe they could warm up to you, maybe you could warm up to them, maybe you could get to know each other a little better. No, you reject them. They come up to you, and you say, psh, no.
Folks are giving our vote away. No, we are making strategic decisions.
Oh, yeah, you're giving it away, Roland. Trust me.
So, when Stephen A.
I hope they buy you dinner first,
says
before you give it away.
Stephen A., Republicans do not want to compete for the black vote because they benefit from the white vote. No Democratic president has gotten a majority of the white vote since '64.
Isn't that shocking? Isn't that odd? What major thing must have happened that made all of the black people suddenly shift their entire voting identity? Isn't that odd?
Reason, because they support the pro-white supremacist party. I'm gonna give you some data before I bring up Michael Harriot.
Yeah. So you see that, you heard that. You get the gist of what Roly Poly Oly Martin is saying here. He's claiming that white voters support the white supremacist party. That's why Democrats can't win the white vote. And I think I would argue that Democrats may struggle with the white vote because, again, they're engaged in Marxist anti-white politics, right? And they like to use racially divisive politics. I think that's probably the main reason why they're struggling with the white vote. But what do I know, right? Regardless.
They don't appeal to white people. Jasmine Crockett, if you appeal Republicans with whiteness, Jasmine Crockett literally said she didn't need any of the white people to vote in Texas in order for her to get her spot. You, Roland Martin, you're the one who says that you don't need me. I don't care.
My
Like,
issue with
fine,
what Stephen A.
okay.
said is not with what he actually said. It's with the messenger. Because Stephen A. says, I wish.
The difference, Roland Martin, is I'm not going to chase you. If you think that you would be better off with someone else, by all means, just don't let the door hit you in the butt on the way out.
Black people would just line up and vote Republican. All black people would vote Republican. Just one election. In order to make Republicans work for the black vote. But he's not doing that. Right? Stephen A. is voting Democrat. And I don't think Stephen A. has ever voted Republican. So I understand what Stephen A. is saying. And I personally think that it would be beneficial for black people to vote Republican. But Stephen A., you got to actually vote Republican, right? Before you start demanding that black people vote Republican, you should vote Republican because you voted for Kamala Harris over Trump. So at what
Trying to
point
thread the
is
needle,
Stephen A.
being
actually
like,
going to do what he's advocating for others to do? That is legitimate criticism of what Stephen A. said, right? Because what he said was not wrong. But the messenger is not doing the things that he's telling other people to do, right? That he's advocating for. That is my issue with what Stephen A. said. So, regardless, the point of this video is that black liberals will once again trigger over Stephen A. Not towing the Democrat Party line, right? And they decided to take out the whip, right? And to try to get them back like they always do. It happens every single time. All of them start making videos. They start reacting. It's the same thing every single time. We will see if Stephen A. backtracks like he always does. He comes out here and he starts splaining, right? Please don't start splaining, Stephen A. Stick with what you said and keep it moving. But we'll see. Let me know what you guys think.
you know he's going to. It's a pattern. It's what he does. He says something honest. He says something genuine, authentic. And then people immediately give him shit for it. And because he thinks that they're right, they're also right, he just says, you're right, I was wrong. I mean, you gotta feel bad for him a little bit. I mean, flat earthers don't apologize as much as Stephen A. does. When someone who doesn't believe that the earth is round has a greater sense that what they believe is true than their opposition, than Stephen A. Smith saying something like, black people should break the mold and just vote Republican. Like, I'm sorry, Stephen A.